is 7:01. I will call this meeting to order. Ruth, would you take roll, please?
Andy Hitchcock.
Here.
Mike Malloy.
Here.
Cindy McChater.
Here.
All right. We've got 2 agenda items for tonight. Before we do that, we will take a look at the meeting minutes from May. Did both of you have an opportunity to review those minutes? Any questions, comments, alterations, etc.?
No.
All right. Then I will make a motion to approve the meeting minutes as is.
I second that.
Ruth?
Andy Hitchcock.
Yes?
Mike Malloy.
Yes.
Cindy McChater.
Yes.
All right. Before we get going, Todd, would you please swear in anyone who is going to give testimony?
So the way this works, the Board of Zoning Appeals is only supposed to listen to sworn testimony, so anyone that's going to speak tonight, whether you're an applicant or a member of the public, if you could just raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give this evening will be truthful, and just I do would suffice? Great, thank you.
All right. So to both of our applicants tonight, typically we have a 5-member board. We anticipated having 4 people tonight, but one person was unfortunately unable to make it due to some traffic issues. So you have 3 people. You have a quorum. You do also need all 3 votes in the affirmative for your applications to be passed. So just want to make sure you understand that before we proceed any further. See heads nodding, so okay, fantastic. We'll start tonight with agenda item number 1, BZA case number 25-09 for the property located at 115 Leaview Lane, seeking an approval for a shed, and it's a little bit too close to the property line. So, Mr. Alessi, answer? Yep. If you want to just give us a little bit of background on why we're here tonight, just I think we've all seen the application and the sketches. Okay. Just want to start off with anything we need to know, background on what's going on.
Just July 2nd, I received a phone call from Ruth. Somebody was, I don't know who, somebody in the neighborhood, whether it be the inspector or a neighbor or whatever, saw that I was putting a shed up and they noticed that it had improvements. And that was pretty close to the property line, which me and Don, my neighbor, agreed to where it would be. And he was comfortable with that. Got a signed paper from him. That's it.
Okay.
The property, there's 2 measurements because the shed kind of sits on an angle.
Right.
So that's, I saw that. Just want to clarify that.
Okay. So we've got a couple of questions for you. It'll just be a conversation. And I do have a question for you, Dave, before we, or maybe for Todd, I'm not sure where it'll go. But so you found out early June, so a couple of weeks ago, that you needed July of last 24.
Or January, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, January 2nd.
Okay. So when did you start the construction process?
Last year or something.
Okay. So
Yeah.
December, November, whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
okay.
It was last year, spring, summer.
Okay. So you started the construction process, subsequently found out you either needed a permit or you needed a variance and or both of those. Okay. One of the things in your application noted the location of some mature trees that would prohibit moving it in a different direction.
Yeah.
Can you give a little bit of background?
So the way the backyard, when you come down Leaview, we have basically the most trees in our backyard, and I love them. I don't want to tear down trees just to put a shed up. So that spot was really visually and for the tree sake was the best spot. I also wanted it near the driveway, which is on the right side of my house. And then again, I asked Don, my neighbor, if he was okay with it being that close, and agreed. And we went ahead and started it early because, as you all know, those garages fill up quite quick.
Mm-hmm.
Mama wasn't happy, and I was just trying to get stuff done, make it happen.
Understood. As a follow-up question to you, I drove past, I saw what's going on. shame on me, I didn't look at Don's house, the neighbor to your north, the one who's affected by this.
Yeah,
How close is his house and or any other buildings to the lot line? Estimates are fine, I'm just kind of curious, you know, is it gonna get real crowded on the lot line with a lot of buildings?
there's nothing back there.
Okay,
Yeah, he has nothing, he's got a little, there's a little creek that runs through there, or stream.
okay,
I mean, there's nothing back there. And it's actually really far away from the rear property line. So it's really just kind of close to the side, which he actually has a whole row of trees that go down the side. So, yeah, I mean, there's no structures or anything
okay,
that are back there.
thank you.
Yep.
Cindy?
I had stopped by and we spoke and we walked around the property because I wanted to see the property line. My only concern was really with the water flow back there and the way, because he explained to me how you had cut out a little bit of the property. But it's been fine with the creek and things back there. It looked
Yeah.
like everything was flowing. I do like it that he left the trees there, so we kind of stood on his neighbor's side to see what they would look at and you see the tree and stuff, so the
Okay.
trees.
Did I just hear you're the one person in South Russell who doesn't have water problems?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Actually, when I bought the house, there were water problems, and I just brought some clay in and kind of built
Yeah.
everything up, and they all went away.
Awesome, good for you. Cindy, other questions, comments?
No, that's it.
Okay. Mike?
I don't have any right now, no.
Okay. Todd or Dave, I'm not sure who the appropriate person is to answer this. As I was thinking about how I would structure a motion, the way that the agenda reads that basically in two different points, it's a different distance from the line.
Correct.
Do we need to reference that in any sort of motion? I mean, since I guess,
Yeah, I think if the motion was going to be to grant the variance, I would note that at the front of the shed, it would be a 15-foot side yard setback, and at the rear, it would be a 7-yard.
right,
Just so that we've memorialized exactly what it was we approved.
rather than giving the applicant the possibility of rotating
Yeah.
the building, putting both front and back.
Unless you were to hear that that's something they're considering and you wanted to include that in the motion, you could.
Okay. I guess I was just thinking the issue is being 20 feet off and whether you're, we would approve it for the minimum distance. Anyway, thank you for the clarification. It's easy enough. Do you have any other comments, questions, anything we should consider?
It's gonna look beautiful if you guys approve it.
And moving forward.
Finish it hopefully one day.
All right. So hearing no other questions or comments, I will we'll make two motions, since there is a front and back to this. So, for BZA case number 25-09, the property located at 115 Leavview Lane, make a motion to approve a 13-foot variance to the side lot line to permit the rear of a shed no closer than 7 feet from the side lot line, which would be the north property line. Questions, comments on the motion?
I second it.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Ruth?
Andy Hitchcock,
Yes.
Mike Malloy,
Yes.
Cindy McPherson.
Yes,
All right, so we'll make a second motion for BZA case number 25-09, the property located at 115 Leavview Lane, and make a motion to approve a 5-foot variance to the side lot line to permit the front of a shed no closer than 15 feet to the lot line, which again is the northern lot line.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on the motion? Ruth?
Andy Hitchcock,
Yes?
Mike Malloy,
Yes.
Cindy McPherson.
yes.
All right. You are approved. We appreciate you coming in tonight.
Yep.
All right.
Close tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, I'll call you Friday,
Yeah,
that's the
call me.
permit fee.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Cool.
All right,
Ready to go?
you are all set. Thanks for coming in, Mr.
Have
White.
a wonderful night.
Thanks,
Thank
it
you.
was good seeing you.
All right, so that brings us to agenda item number 2, BZA case number 25-10. And that is for the property located at 100 Fox Trail, seeking an area variance to allow a deck and a swimming pool in the backyard. So, Ms. Bosley, we have seen the application, the maps, the sketches, drawings, all that. Just an opportunity to give us a little bit of background first on what you're trying to do and what the goal here is.
Yeah, we are attempting to add a semi-ground swimming pool to our backyard, adjacent to the backside of our home, and want it to be fully enclosed within a new deck structure, because our current deck structure would clearly be way too small. And then that would expand it for the pool and then like eating or sitting area.
Okay.
That's it.
That is it. And you can continue to add if you have other things that you'd like. As you heard in the previous application, we'll have some questions for you
Yeah,
and just a little bit of the dialogue. So, how big is the existing deck? Do you know what the square footage is? What I'm trying to drive at is what's the net difference between what you're gonna take off and what you're gonna add?
I would have to pull that from the current Geauga County website. I don't have that visually. I mean, you saw it, you walked the property, it's probably about half. Because where the deck ends now, we're going additional, do you have the papers? Can I see one of the maps, actually?
Is this what you're looking
Yes,
for?
you don't have it up on the screen.
Or do you want the other one?
Geauga Real Link said 192 square feet, which is
Is the
12 by
correct-
Is this
16.
what you,
But I don't know if that's always 100% accurate, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I mean, that's where I was able to get some of the measurements, in terms of, for my application of what it would be housed, kind of how I did it off that tool.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we're only extending about 5 feet if you're standing at my back door to the left. And then it's gonna be the entire length of the pool. The pool's 32 feet. Starts halfway at the current deck now, so I would say it's approximately another 20 feet approximating to
Okay.
the right-hand side. It will go very close to the end of my home, where right now it stops before like the family room and our addition, so I would say it's probably somewhere around there.
And when you talk about moving that closer to the edge of your home, does that include the addition your husband had mentioned?
Correct,
Okay,
yeah,
so
with the addition space.
really the end of the house?
Correct, almost
Okay.
to the very end, yeah.
Okay.
So we're putting like downspouts and things like that, but pretty close to the end.
Okay. So if you had to guess, how big is the pool relative to the overall square footage?
So the pool's 16 by 32, so I think it says in here that would have been 535 square feet, right? I think it says it in there. So we would have needed it for the pool alone, because we would
Right.
get over that regardless. And so, yeah, the deck itself is 1760, so. The difference there, we're talking 1,200 square feet.
So you said 16 by 32 is the pool?
The pool itself is 16 by 32, and then there's requirements around how much space from your home has to be. So like, we have to be 10 feet off the house, so we have to have, enough
Deck.
decking there. And then you have to have a minimum of 4 feet, because the fence is the railings around it, you have to have 4 feet on either side. But from the pool itself over to the other side, where we would have additional seating space and things like that. Again, I don't have that drawing in front of me, the full drawing. Can I see yours again? I apologize. Without it being on the screen, I don't have it in front of me. I think it's another 20 feet,
sorry,
by the total.
I don't know which one you
The
did.
property that we had for the fencing the last time. I'm not seeing that on here. These are just, the sketches, but,
Is it on the back?
Yeah, that might be the one I'm looking for. Yeah, there you go. So on this one here, you can see it has the pool here, and then we've got, another, I can't see that there, another 12 feet from the end to the end of the deck.
Okay.
13, it's 12 and 8, 12 and 8. So it's from where the pool would be all the way to the end where the steps would be, it's an additional 13 feet. And then we hit the 4-foot minimum around the back, we have 8 feet from the end of the pool, towards the end of my house to the end of the deck there. And then we hit that 10 feet, in some areas it's 12, because we have a bump out. So we have a bump out, and we hit the 10-foot minimum, and then we're like, the back door is actually 12 feet.
So one of the things that we are tasked with considering is alternatives and how, could you do something different and either not need a variance or need a smaller variance. A question with regards to that, the swimming pool, is that a standard size? Is that okay, so you didn't just arbitrarily say we kind of want it this big?
No, you can pick it in a round, an oval, a rectangle, or a lagoon. And so the rectangle is the standard size for that. Yeah, and they were much different, but obviously the round ones are different because it's a complete circle, so their circumference rather than the other, but the oval was almost exactly the same. And then the lagoon was like 16 by 28, but that's because of the odd shape of it, which wouldn't be what we would want for our family. It's not like a leisure pool, it's for the kids to swim and play, and so we want as much swimming circumference as possible.
Okay. When I visited the other day, I noticed plenty of very mature trees in the backyard. Your husband mentioned maybe a couple of them were rotting or needed to come down, but does your plan include the removal of any trees as it stands right now?
There is one, so the one tree that should be removed in order to make the project go. It would be tight for their equipment to come up the side along Bell, so there's one smaller tree there that we were going to remove to get the equipment in without cutting it too close. So that was the one tree that was part of that would have to have removed. It's on the interior, it's not on the exterior where there's like a wood line, so it's really between the wood line and our house. The other trees were recommended when the company came out to talk about the removal of that tree. They were like, these are dead and they're gonna fall on your playground, like they need to come out, those are a risk. So we decided to take those out, and then there were some other ones in the bed that was like, they're on their way out, they all had the same tree sickness, I suppose. So he made recommendations as to what other trees should come out, but none that were going to affect the project. So the only one that was bearing any, anything towards impacting the project was this one. Did he show you that when we bought the property that's on the interior between the wood line and our house?
I have a question. Explain to me what's gonna happen in the lower area I did walk your yard, you all weren't home.
Yeah, welcome.
So I just kind of peeked in the back. What's gonna be on the lower area, since it is above ground partially, how are you?
No, that's gonna be all green space still. So when you pass where it's kind of on that angle where the deck would be with the pool, right now there's green space, there are the trees that are sick, so those are the ones that are coming out, that will continue to just be green space. And then we have our current play set, all the way set to the back, that's gonna stay. So it'll all just be green space.
So, right, but along the edge of the pool decking there, that's
Oh,
gonna
I'm
be.
sorry, so there's gonna be a 2-foot border, and then we were just gonna have different, either plantings, ornamental grass. That hasn't been determined exactly yet. There will be a 2-foot perimeter or border around the pool, which will have landscaping. The back end, the stairs and entrance to the pool are too, again, if you're on my deck to the left. And so that will be where the gate will be to get in. We only have the one entrance, so everything else will have the 2-foot surround of a bed, and then either, hostas or ornamental grass.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure it was closed off enough so there was safety reasons.
No. It's completely enclosed within the deck/railings, which will have served and council approved that already for the, as the fence. There's only one way in.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Did you look at other options for the size, as Andy was just discussing about how to make it a little more compact and not have to ask for such a variance?
I mean, really, because of the way our yard is sloped, we wanted to do a semi-in-ground versus an in-ground pool. Obviously, there are more options if you go standardized in-ground pool. However, quite frankly, we would have still needed a variance then for the patio side. We would have been in the same boat, right? So like when we had the company come out, even if the pool size, if you get it, they come in really small, medium, or large. And so the next set down is like they're still pretty long, but then they're more narrow. They're like 14 by 28. And quite frankly, that's not a lot of swimming surface. I mean, I have 3 kids of my own, you know, and then if we have family over, you're all like, kind of, they're like lap pools versus like swimming pools. So those weren't really any options. Again, if you get into different shapes like the lagoon and things like that, then you can get into the medium sized pools, which are 16 usually by 28 or 30, but then they're awkward shapes. So we were really set on either the oval or the rectangle. And the semi-in-ground, I mean, there's only 2 local companies other than we even had another company come out that would do a fiberglass inside if we did in-ground. Those have to be craned over your home. We have no way to get it in. I'm like, I'm not dropping a pool in over my house. I mean, that's like, you know, a lot. So there's only 2 local companies that do semi-in-ground, and the other company that did them did not have, they were only round. And that wasn't something we wanted to do. So this was the company that we kind of landed on. So for our needs and what we're looking to do, the medium size seems really sufficient. We have 2 neighbors in our neighborhood already that both have in-ground pools of relatively similar size. And they have, you know, one has a pool house and a deck and a pool house. You know, and like they have less acreage than we do. I had said that on my first email for the city council that, you know, they have clearly more structures per acreage than we have on their property. And then we have another neighbor in the pool who has a very large in-ground pool, so I wasn't really thinking that we were out of the box in terms of the size that we were looking at. It's not really grandiose, it's really not extravagant, it's really just, you know, a medium-sized pool. No slides, no fun type. My kids would love to have a twisty slide, but that wasn't in the budget. So we're just going with just the average.
Any other comments or questions that you'd like to ask or applicant?
No, I think I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Mike, anything you'd like to add or ask?
No, I don't think so. Are there neighbors here or anyone speaking on behalf?
No, yeah, my neighbors all got the letter.
Okay. No
Okay.
question.
So, as I mentioned, we have a handful of criteria that we are to use when making decisions. A lot of them, quite frankly, don't really apply to this situation. The one that probably is reasonably relevant is your variance request significant? And obviously, you're asking for something that's a little bit more than 2 times, you know, roughly 2.5 times what the zoning code allows. I guess I would otherwise be hung up on that if you were building a garage in your backyard that was something detached. If you were building an attached, you wanted to blow out your living room and, you know, do something else, we wouldn't be having this conversation because you'd be well within your ability to do that. But we view pools and decks differently than we do kitchens and dining rooms. The fact that this is attached to the house and, you know, it's removing an existing deck that has square footage that eats up some of the variance requests. You know, I'm a lot more comfortable, quite frankly, the fact that only one neighbor is really affected by it is
And they're putting in a pool next year. So.
So you'd like to be back here?
That probably helps me, right?
So I don't have any other questions or comments. If neither of you does, I'll make a motion.
I'm fine.
Okay. So for BZA case number 25-10, for the property located at 100 Fox Trail, I make a motion to approve an area variance of 1,225 square feet to permit a deck and pool structure no greater than 1,760 square feet.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on the motion? Are we clear what we're voting on? So Ruth?
Andy Hitchcock,
Yes.
Mike Malloy,
Yes.
Cindy Matija.
Yes.
Awesome.
Great, thank you.
I hope your kids enjoy the pool.
You're all.
She didn't invite us.
Be careful what you do there.
Right. We're happy neighbors, we're happy neighbors. Thank you guys.
Enjoy.
Thank
All
you.
So, any old business to discuss? Any new business to discuss? Ruth, you mentioned that there is an applicant in front of us for July.
Yes, one applicant, and she knows we only have 4 members.
Okay, and that meeting is on the 16th of July.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. With no other meeting topics or agendas, I'll call this meeting to a close at 7:27.
Oh. I knew I kept looking at it going, I know who that is. Somewhere, yeah.
Not the post office, and one o'clock. I'm a council member, and I'm going through the election in November.
Okay.
And sign up to-